All right. I just had time to say thank you to my wife, who unfortunately had to grab my laptop and drive all the way down here. Like everything in my life, without her, I wouldn't even be here. So we've been talking about, in February, I talked a lot about consistency, but I kind of wanted to take something that I got from the conference I was at and explore that a little bit. A guy, well, a lot of you guys know him, Phil Jones. For those of you who don't, Phil Jones wrote a book called Exactly What to Say. Hi, Liz. Sorry.
Good morning. I just got your text. I'm so sorry, but here I am.
I reached out to Liz, and I remember John is always on here live and said, help. So Phil Jones spoke to us. And if you haven't read the book, Exactly What to Say, order that today. It's short and phenomenal. Really helps discuss how we're wording things with people. And it has a lot of quick, easy statements you can use, but more importantly, it talks about the why. So an example would be if I was talking to Liz about wanting to do something on the sale of her home, and I would say, well, I'm betting you're a lot like me and you hate losing money. That's a phenomenal opening line that you're about to show them something they need to do. He's got like 24 of those. Imagine, such an important word in NLP. We start a sentence with imagine, because all decisions have to be made twice, once emotionally, then out loud. Anyway, get that book. So he came out, and there's 2,000 of us sitting there, and he said, how many of you are living at the level that you want to live? And I thought, well, I'm not. I mean, I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing the life I want to live, but I'm not at my ideal life yet. And I'm going to assume most of you are not, that we're somewhere on the path. And he said, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why you're not there yet. And he kind of went into a generalized thing that I took back into 3 exact reasons. Because the law of few things says there's never more than 3 things necessary to accomplish anything. So,
can we ask Robert to mute? Robert,
yeah, I muted it.
Yeah, there he is. Okay, thanks.
And good morning, Robert.
Yeah, good morning.
Sorry
no worries. So the first reason, and the one that's most obvious to all of us, is that we don't have absolute crystal clarity on what that life looks like. We have goals, right? Every one of you, I assume, has a goal. I'm hoping every one of you's done a business plan. I've done that. Liz and I just did that up in Carlsbad, and it was great. The business plan is a great living document, but it's limited because it ends up with, I want to do this many transactions. I want to make $650,000 this year. Hey, that's 650,000 pieces of useless green paper. It has value in what it does for us, right? You're welcome, Heather. Thank you. To rise above our comfort level, to get uncomfortable, to achieve the lofty life that we want, first requires that we have a very, very specific picture, an image, a vision in our head. So we all know the SMART acronym, right? Goals have to be specific and measurable. They have to be attainable. There should be, my preference for R is that there should be some risk. It should be outside of our comfort zone, and it has to have a time component. Okay, that's how you create a goal. I will make $650,000 before December 31st. That's a SMART goal. But it doesn't relate to us in any emotional way. And that's why even if we achieve the 650, we're still looking around. We're still saying, what is it that I want? Why aren't I living the life of happiness and peace that I truly want? We have to describe that in detail. We have to have, there's different ways of doing it. You can write a letter to yourself, right? You can take a day in the life. One of my favorites is if your goal is, I'm using this random number, 650,000, describe in detail that day. The day in November when you go pick up that check from escrow, the one that puts you over 650,000. What did the client say? Where are you sitting? Which Chartwell escrow office are you leaving from? What's the day look like? Is it sunny? Is it cloudy? What are you driving? Who's the first person you call? What does it feel like to hit that goal? And what are you going to do with it in your day and your week and your month? What are we becoming? Describe that in detail. Liz, jump in on any of this stuff. I know.
Thank you, because one of the things that even when I got my first office and I had to stand up and do my first sales meeting, right? I had no clue how to do that well. I didn't. I'd been to sales meetings. I felt like there wasn't a lot of energy going on, so I knew I wanted to bring some energy. Knew I wanted to do some things. But I will tell you a little secret about me that most people don't know. I had an agent tell me at lunch the other day that me trying to meditate would be an SNL skit. Because I can't sit still long enough. But there is one thing that I do really well, and that is I visualize. If you asked me what my goals are and told me to put them on paper and create that SMART goal thing that everyone talks about, that sounds so wonderful, and I know how to do it and I know how to create it for people. But for me, I can picture as clear as day, as clear as the painting on the wall, what it looks like, right? And so back when we called it visualization, right? And I think it's really important down to, if you're going to go on a listing presentation, just anything that you're doing, what are you wearing? What does that look like? I mean, I could tell you what I'm wearing. I could tell you how people are responding to me. I can tell you, just in detail what it looks like. So your point is really, really good. And sometimes it's just the visualization of what that life looks like.
Yes. How does your spouse respond? What did your kids say?
Right.
You have to imbue it with all that, the emotional part of this. And I would challenge, because Liz, I get what you're saying. A lot of people, the idea of let's meditate but you do have that vision. Speak it into something, a text, any voice to text. And you could have it to read, or better yet, most mornings play it in the car for 2 minutes. Your own voice describing in present tense what your life looks like. Because we've talked about this before, the fun part, we generally are running on programs. We know that. Subconscious is running programs that have been going since you were kids. But it's not very bright. If you repeat something like a visualization over and over, the subconscious, if it's detailed enough, believes it's real, and it just records it. And pretty soon that's the program it runs, because that's what you've given it. So I love that. Right. There's more than one way to do this. Okay, so start there. First step. Most of us don't achieve the life we really want because we don't know what it really looks like. It's hard to go someplace when you don't know what the actual destination is. The second step, you need to have a recognizable pattern of actions, right? Like Tony Robbins always says, listen, you can sit on the couch and meditate all your goals. Eventually they just repossess the couch.
Sorry.
I wish I could take credit for that. That's not Tony Robbins. The universe speaks action. And it's not like you guys are sitting around doing nothing. Anybody who's here is already here for a reason. We already know who you are to a large degree, or you wouldn't be here doing what you're doing. What we need to look at is how many of the actions in my day are directed toward achieving this outcome. You could say there's 3 ways we spend time. And if we're really, really doing well, we spend a third of our time actually doing the things that matter. Generating income, creating the life that we want. That's about a third of the time. We spend another third of the time doing things we have to do so that we can spend the time doing the things that we really want to do. And we spend a third of the time doing things we don't want to do at all. That's a breakdown of our average day. So now our job, now that we have clarity, is to say which actions actually matter, what third actually matters. And am I hitting that third every single day? Can I minimize? Can I hand off? Can I delete, delay, delegate any of that final third, the things that I don't want to be doing at all? Why am I doing them? a quick exercise for you guys to do. You don't have to do it right now. I know some of you are getting ready, but think about your goal this year, how much money you want to make. We'll use money again as the yardstick. Divide that by how many weeks that you want to work, and then divide that by how many hours you work in a week. That's your hourly pay that you're expecting, right? Now, if we're going to be honest about it, we would then triple that number, because only a third of our time is actually spent actually doing the things that matter. But know what your hourly pay is. What do I expect to bill out at this year? And then throughout the day, we should have a recognizable pattern, repeatable pattern of actions that are worthy of that amount. If you work out to $1,000 an hour, I say great. I don't have a single problem with someone saying I'm worth $1,000 an hour. You just need to make sure that in those hours you are giving $1,000 worth of value, which in our business we do, right? But how much time are we spending on things that aren't worth, things that are worth $20 an hour that we could give to somebody else? So a pattern of actions is the second thing. And that leads to the third reason that many of us don't achieve the life we want. We have the clarity and we know the actions required. Are we doing them repeatedly? Is there comfort with the tedium of success? I know, Liz, we talk all the time. Consistency is the single most important word to success.
Mm-hmm.
Not having a great plan. Great plan's great, but a poor plan executed consistently will beat the hell out of a great plan all day long.
Yeah. You know, I don't know, Sean, if you're going to touch on this, so I don't want to, if you are, just say so, and I won't take it out of order. But, you know, I think that some of the times we don't spend that time doing those things because we haven't taken the time to master those things. So I don't know, you know, and I have to tell you that there's some clarity around this for me right now. You know, there's a goal that I have that right now I call a pipe dream, because I'm not doing the things, and it's not in my work job, but I'm not doing the things that it would take to master that such that I can achieve that.
And it is mastery.
It is mastery.
That's another good point. A lot of us, we achieve a level of better than average.
Mm-hmm.
And we're good. There's a great book that called Good to Great. Good is the enemy of great. And most of us, you get above average and you feel pretty good, but you're not nearly at your capacity of your gifts and of the life of unbelievable happiness that you can live, because we don't put the time in mastering the two or three things. There's very little that we have to master.
Right. And if we don't do that, and we can be as consistent as all get out. I use the example of a guy that I hired back when farming, I mean, door knocking was like, everybody did it. If you mastered that, you know, and to this day still, if you master that and you master your farm, you master, you know, listings forever. And he was a postman before. And I thought, this guy's gonna have no problem going door to door. But the problem was he brought the habit of just chatting with people too long at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit thousands and thousands of doors, but he never got anywhere because he never mastered the art of actually briefly speaking to someone and moving on, you know?
Right.
So if you're consistent, but you're not mastering your craft, you know, that may not be the only answer for you, is what I'm saying, I guess.
Well, it's the old saying, practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Right. If we practice something incorrectly, we just get really, really good at doing it incorrectly.
Right.
Which most of you now know, like I stopped having people count contacts a long time ago. Who cares how many people you talk to? It really doesn't matter in real estate. It's how many people did you have a meaningful conversation with that matters. We're in the talking to people business, but as Liz is saying, we have to master what that conversation is. Which, by the way, sneak peek next week and go much more into detail on that. But that's this is a fun, well, maybe it's scary. I thought it was a fun aspect of that hourly rate. Let's say my rate, when I work it backwards, is $1,000 an hour. When I'm actually in front of somebody And I'm not talking to them for an hour, right? Our great conversations are 10 minutes. And that's what lands the listing. And I'm billing at $1,000 an hour for that 10-minute conversation. And I haven't put in the work. I should be so good at that dialogue. I should not be thinking once about what am I going to say next. The only thing I should be doing is listening to them because I already know everything I'm going to say. What would it take to be that good, to be $1,000 an hour good? It's reps. It's learning what to say. So we're going to go into that next week. But our single skill set, as you said, Liz, master the skill. Our skill set is talking to people. But there's the postman talking. Hey, how's it going? There's the drop-off chats. We see those people knocking on doors. Here's a flyer. Here's a flyer. Here's a flyer. I can pay someone $10 an hour to hand out flyers. That's not $1,000 an hour work. Having the conversation with them is. And then I'm getting outside of where I want to go with this. The part three part, the consistency is really about the tedium of success. But I think the biggest problem we all have of those three things, the biggest problem we have is not that we lack the skill or the desire. You can create your vision and you know the actions. You could sit down with any manager or coach and create them if you don't. It's the third one. We do something for a while and it gets boring. It's boring knocking on doors every day. It's boring making phone calls every day. It's boring saying the same thing every day. Truly, truly successful people, the best athletes you've ever seen. Look at the people who rise to the top of a politics. You know, what, the person who becomes president more than anything, they can go out 6 hours a day and shake hands and kiss babies. How boring is that after doing it for years and years and years? And they still make that connection. Mm-hmm. I was listening to a podcast of a guy, I can't remember his name, but he's a comic book guy. I love podcasts. I don't know anything about comic books, but this guy was talking about business. And at one point he talked about Stan Lee, the creator of Spider-Man and all that. We all know Stan Lee. He said, I went to so many things with Stan Lee. I got to sit next to him. I became like his partner. He said, Stan Lee could give you full attention and make you feel special in 20 seconds. Because that's how long he had with each person. And he would sit there for hours doing that same thing over and over and over. It is really, you have to be really comfortable with not chasing a shiny object. That's what makes number three, the comfort and the tedium of success, the boredom of success is the one where I would say most of us have our biggest issue. And the way to find help around that is accountability. You need someone who's checking in with you saying, did you do it? Yeah, I did it again. Good. I don't care if it's disappointing, as long as you did it. Did you do this? Did you do your push-ups? How boring to do push-ups every day, but that's what it takes. Did you do your push-ups? Do you think I'm underplaying this, Liz? Or
no.
To me, that's the biggest point.
Right. Absolutely. And the reality is, the book that I'm reading right now, is the 12-week year because, it kind of was put to me, but I am reading it. And so far, okay, great. We got to put our goals into bite-sized chunks. We got to, okay, know all that, right? But the one thing that it did talk about that really, I reread it a few times, was that people look at accountability incorrectly. Accountability is a promise that you make to yourself. Only you can hold yourself accountable, and we all mistake that. I had an agent say to me, I need more accountability. And I thought, but I can talk to you every single day, but if you're not doing it, you're not doing it, and you're letting yourself down. Now, where we get confused is some of us will let ourselves down all day long, but we won't let someone else down. We hold that commitment to a higher level for some reason. And That's why we seek accountability outside. Like, Sean, I know I have an appointment with you at 7 a.m. I'm going to get there at 7 a.m. But if I make an appointment with myself at 7 a.m. to do something, I may stay in bed, So That's where it is. We hold our word to someone else higher than we hold our word to ourselves.
I'm trying to think of the rationalization. We are masters of rationalization. Mm-hmm. But that's the truth of all coaching. You're much less likely to lie to someone else than you are to yourself. And that's a harsh word. We like rationalize, but
it's true.
But it's true.
Yeah.
But in the end, I've actually had people who I was in coaching relationships Oh, I find out they were lying. They're paying money to a coach to not tell them the truth because they're so disappointed they're not doing what they need to do, which of course, that's a whole extra level of what are you doing?
You're right.
But it's so important to us to save face rather than to actually go get this life we want.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I never feel like I convey this well enough. Every one of us has won the lottery. Just being here is a huge win. The question now is, what do we do with it? I think we should take it and run with it. I got all these gifts, all these blessings, everything that was given to me by just being here. Let's go have fun with it. Let's not hide from it. Let's not be afraid of it. And let's embrace the tedium, because that's what takes you to the level where, well, I'm not even going to describe, because it's every one of you has your own level. But imagine what it feels like to be living your ideal life, your life of personal greatness. It's especially in this business. I feel so bad for people who have a 9-to-5 job. They may have this vision, but they can't go double their income. They're kind of trapped in a place of, I chose security over the life I want. Not everybody, but most of them. You got to say that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it to somebody, but it's true. You guys are in this vehicle that gives you whatever you give it, it'll give back to you. You have this at your fingertips. You need to create a vision of it, and you need a recognizable pattern of actions that will take you there. And it's not like digging a ditch in the summer or roofing a house in the summertime. It's not like really hard work. It's mentally challenging work, because we're going to hear no. We have to go talk to people we've never met. And then whatever it is, and no matter how many times you get no, we repeat, because someone out there does need you right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to leave this last thing here. It's something I heard and I just loved. There are, what was the number? 140 and 20. There's 168 hours in a week. 168 hours in a week. Let's assume that you're all very, very healthy and you're sleeping 8 hours a day. So we take 56 hours away. That leaves 112 conscious hours in a week. One listing appointment in 112 hours. Is there anyone on the call that can't do that? One listing appointment in 112 hours seems like, what are you doing if you're not doing that? Yet that would be 50 listing appointments a year. We're talking about $1 million in GCI from that, at least, depending on price point.
Mm-hmm.
112 hours. What are you doing with them? What third of it is you billing out at $1,000 an hour, doing what you are the only person that can do, and that's be you. Create that level of trust. It's there. It's there for us. Put these 3 steps into place.
100%.